Hi everyone, Jeff Howard here. I'm a certified integrative nutrition health coach and founder of Green Life Glow. And I believe that just knowing to eat healthy is not enough. You need to know how to make quick and easy meals in order to make the transition easy. So today we have Savory Gravy Oatmeal. This is one of my favorite recipes. If you're like me and you love oatmeal, but you're not always feeling the sweet, fruity oatmeal, you want something savory, this recipe is going to be perfect for you. So first, let's talk about oatmeal. Oatmeal is a really healthy breakfast choice, certainly better than things like cereal or eggs and bacon, of course. Oatmeal is very nutrient rich. It's got a lot of antioxidants. It has protein. It's got a lot of fiber. It's going to keep you full and be a really healthy option. So I love to start my day with oatmeal. Now there's three types of oatmeal that you can get. I want you to understand the differences. First of all, you've got the quick cook oats. I don't recommend those. They're more shredded, more processed in order to cook faster. But that also means you're going to digest them faster. It's going to spike your blood sugar a little bit more. So the next two options are what I recommend, either whole oats or steel cut oats. Today we're going to be making whole oats, but I do steel cut oats all the time. The difference is whole oats take about 5 minutes. Steel cut oats are going to take more like 30 minutes to prepare. So what I do, and you can check out one of my meal prep videos, is I'll cook my steel cut oats in a large batch on the weekend, and that way when I want to make breakfast in the morning, I can just add a little water and heat them up. And that's a really easy option. Now, if you don't have your steel cut oats made already, then you can use the whole oats. I find them to be pretty similar, a little bit of textural difference, and also the whole oats are not going to keep you as full quite as long as the steel cut oats, but they're both good options. So check out over here, I've already put in the amount of oats that I like, and it's typically about 2 parts water to 1 part oat, so decide how much you want, and then you just add the water. It's really easy. So go ahead and add the water in there. We'll give it a quick stir. And that's pretty much part 1 complete. You just have to stick this in the microwave until it's done. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so now that we have the oats taken care of, there are 2 other parts. First of all, in this recipe, I add a veggie burger on top because I like to add that texture. It's a little crispy, add some more flavor. So that's usually the first thing you want to get in the oven. I've already got that going. We actually use this veggie burger in this recipe. It's Hillary's. The first ingredients are cooked whole grain millet and kale or spinach. So I don't eat a lot of processed foods like this, but it's good to have some healthier options available. Keep those in my freezer. They're ready to go. It only takes about 12 minutes at 350 degrees. So we'll put that on top at the very end. But the main thing we're going to be doing here is a little saute. We're going to create sort of a broth, and then we're going to saute mushrooms, add some nutritional yeast, and also include some spinach and kale. And that's going to be we're going to thicken it up. It's going to be a nice thick broth we're going to put on top of the oatmeal, and then we're going to put that burger on top. So while the oats are cooking, I want to show you how to get the broth started. First of all, you've got your pan here with some warm water. I'm going to go ahead and turn up the heat. And instead of water, if you want, you can use broth, but I prefer to make my own using bouillon. I like this better than bouillon, organic seasoned vegetable base. It's also reduced sodium, so that's good. And this is really simple. You just take a little bit in here. It's about 1 teaspoon per cup, so I'm going to be going for about a teaspoon. You can measure if you want. We're just going to go ahead and get that heated up. It'll come off the spoon. And this water is going to be turned right into broth. So that's step 1. So once you've got that going, you can then add in your mushrooms. You can use any type of mushrooms you like. Most mushrooms are really healthy, and maybe all mushrooms are very healthy. Today I have portobello mushrooms as well as some shiitake mushrooms. The white button mushrooms are also very healthy, so feel free to use those. But you're just going to go ahead and stick those in your warm broth. And I like to use 2 different mushrooms. It adds a little more fun to the dish. Alright, and then you're just going to stir that in. Make sure you get the mushrooms all nice and warm. They're going to start simmering here. And that's pretty much the first step. Alright, so while the mushrooms are getting going here, got a good little simmer happening, but our oats just came out of the microwave. Got those over here. All we need to do is stir them up a little. And you'll get good at these oats. You just need to know how much water you like to add, because some people like them a little thicker, some people like them a little more runny. There's no problem either way. But just know once they come out of the microwave, they'll keep absorbing water, so don't freak out right away. And even if you do over or undershoot the water on here, you've got the broth over here. You can make it more or less thick to compensate for the oats. So you got a couple of safety valves. But once the oats come out of the microwave, we're just going to season them up so that we can get them ready. So add a little bit of salt, not too much, but I think you want to get a little bit of that in there. Got some black pepper. Some red pepper flakes if you like a little spice. I like to go easy on it in the morning, but I love spicy food. Our nutritional yeast. Some garlic granules. Some garlic powder. Some onion powder. And a little ginger. I started adding the ginger recently because it's so healthy, it's so good for your immune system, and you know, there's such great spiciness to this recipe. The ginger fits in pretty well. So with the spices, you don't have to follow these exactly. Put what you like in here. These are really healthy, good spices. They're going to give it a nice little kick of flavor. So I definitely recommend them, but make it your own. This is definitely not something that needs to be done verbatim. So we're just going to stir that up. And now that's ready to go, so we can focus again over here on the saute. So you can see that the mushrooms are going really well now. The idea here is that we want some of this liquid to evaporate. That's going to thicken it up and give it that nice creamy texture that we're aiming for. And we want to add the greens right at the end. So we're going to put those greens in towards the end so we don't overcook them. They're going to wilt down really quickly. And so we're just waiting on that. Now when it comes to greens, you can use anything you want. Today I've got some chopped kale and some baby spinach. You can use arugula, whatever greens you like, just throw them in there. It's not a big deal. It's going to make this recipe extra healthy. You want to get your greens in as many ways as you can. One thing that I'm going to go ahead and add to today's recipe is some avocado. It's one of my favorite foods. Avocados are really healthy, but they're also high in fat, just like nuts, seeds, olives, whole plant foods. These are healthy fats, but you do want to eat them in moderation. So I'm going to do about a quarter of this avocado, even though I could definitely do the whole thing. I just want to show you how easy it is if you're not familiar with avocados. Once you rinse it off, you can just take it and cut it right down the middle. I'm just going to cut it into halves. And I use the knife in here to sort of split it apart. The lucky side that kept the pit gets spared for now. The other side though, I'm going to go ahead and cut in half again so that I can get a quarter of this avocado. And then once you have this quarter, you can just cut it right down the center, trying not to cut through the skin, just to cut it in half. And then you can just grab a spoon and look at this. We're just going to stick the spoon down under beneath the flesh and the skin and just scoop it out of there. Voila. So now you can see that the mushrooms are cooking down. It's getting a little thick, and this is where I want to thicken it a bit with my nutritional yeast. So we're going to go ahead and sprinkle that on there real good. Try and get it a little even. And stir that in. Now one thing you're going to want to do here is keep a little bit of water on the side. If it starts to get too thick, you start to run out of liquid, you may want to just add a little liquid in there. That's fine, it's just going to evaporate again. But now that we've got it nice and thick, we can go ahead and add in our greens. So do however much you like. I like to get the kale in first because I want this to cook a little bit longer, soften it up. Try to break it into smaller pieces so you don't get any huge pieces of kale in there. And you can hear that it is starting to get pretty dry. So this is where we're just going to add a little bit of liquid. And just thicken that up a bit. And you don't lose any flavor this way because all the flavor is in there, it's just the liquid that's evaporating. So you can just sort of play with that until you have it exactly how you want it. So then we're going to add a little bit of spinach. And the spinach, as you may know, is going to practically disappear. So while this may look like a big old pile of spinach on top, in just a few seconds, it's going to be almost nothing. Stir that in there. As soon as that spinach gets hot, it's going to start to wilt. And here's where you want to make one final check on the thickness. Do you want it a little more runny? Do you want it thick? You can add more water if needed, or just give it a little bit longer to thicken up. But I think this looks great. So we can go ahead and turn off the heat. We can take this and pour it right on top of the oats. The avocado is just waiting for a warm, brothy bath. Try to get it all out of there. Beautiful. And now we're practically done. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the burger out of the oven, crown it. So here's my burger right out of the oven. Dump that right on top. Can take a little more nutritional yeast, sprinkle it over here. Yum. And there you have it. Delicious and ready to go. Let's give it a try here. This is the hardest part for me, is you typically need to wait a little bit to eat this because it's pretty hot. But I'm going to be brave and get in here. Get myself a first bite. Definitely hot. Need to wait a few minutes. But it's so good. You got the creamy oats with that broth on top, the nice crisp of the burger, fresh mushrooms and veggies. This is one of my favorite recipes. And again, every morning, just decide, hey, do I want the savory oats or the sweet oats? It's kind of fun, right? Let me know how this recipe goes for you. Let me know if you make any modifications to it that you think are just killer options. Love to hear about that. And check me out on social media. You can find me on Peace Plants Jeff on Instagram, as well as Green Life Glow on Instagram or greenlifeglow.com. Thank you.